Hello, all my friendly peeps. Welcome to Smiling Wellness Journey Coaching. I'm Siri Johnson, and today we're going to talk about fear. I don't know what the truth may be for you, but I've been thinking a lot about my past, reflecting on my present moment, and I am amazed and slightly horrified on how much I have allowed fear to stop me from being who I truly am, doing what I wanted to do and being called to do, and saying what I want to say that is true in my heart, and all the opportunities and experiences that I may have missed. Yet at the same time, maybe we can all celebrate those times when we were willing to walk through the uncomfortableness of the fear in order to get to the desired outcome on the other side. Because we all have that dance that we do and our own personal relationship with fear. So today I want to unpack it a little, talk about when it happens, why it happens, how it happens. I'm going to share some stories from my life and when fear has really shown up. And this is from my perspective and a sort of conglomerate of some clients and some friends and experiences that have come up. So let's get curious, let's explore, and then at the end I'll share a few tips that have helped me and that I'm continuing to use as I move to the next level of my life and we walk on this journey of life together to truly become who we are meant to be. So stay tuned because it's time for unpacking. I feel it's important to share with you that the kind of fear that I'm going to be talking about is not true threat fear when it has to do with abuse or persecution or oppression. Because there are moments and times in many people's lives when fear is very real and it's there for a reason, to keep them safe from harm. But the kind of fear that I'm going to be discussing today is perceived fear. Those thoughts that we have in our head that stop us from doing something or saying something or being in a certain way to allow us to truly open up who we are and some of those thoughts that come into play. So I just needed to point that out before we go any further. I would like to introduce my co-host today. This is Soul Smiley. A friend made him for me. He's my official Smiling Wellness mascot, and he's going to show up every once in a while. I named him Soul because I need to be reminded that my soul is telling my truth and that if I stay true to myself, I'm going to be okay and be on the right path. And I encourage you all to do the same and get in touch with what your soul is actually telling you. So, Soul is going to be my co-host, my mentor, if you will, and kind of some moral support as I share some things that may be happening in my life. So, yay. So much of the time for me, this is what comes up, is that I am taking experiences from my past when something was undesirable, it didn't work out, I was ridiculed, I was embarrassed, it didn't go very well. And I take those experiences from the past, or somebody yelled at me when I did something, which is my least favorite thing in the whole wide world. And I apply all those yucky things from the past and I sprinkle them into my activity or thing that I want to say or the way that I want to be into the present, shoot it off into the future, and then I'm so fearful of what's going to happen in the future because of the past that I don't do anything. That happens a lot. And I overthink it. Then there's the times that here's this mountain, okay, and what I want is right here on the tip of the mountain, that I override the fear and I go fear, 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 okay, fear, fear. So by the time I get to the top of the mountain and I actually accomplish something or do something or say something that is so truth-filled for me that I'm exhausted. That happens a lot too, but I experience the success of it. So what I'm wanting to do as time goes on, and I would love for you to be able to do as well, is to have those fear moments be a little less of a big deal so that the curve gets flattened and that we just walk through fear and experience it and embrace it so that the path is just so much easier and smooth sailing off to the future. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not smart enough? What if I'm not capable enough to experience and handle what's going to be in the future, whether it be success or whether it be failure? What if I say or do the wrong thing? What if I look foolish? What if people are embarrassed for me? What if I'm embarrassed? What if I'm ridiculed? Yuck. Then there's another big one. What if people don't like me? What if what I'm going to do or say or the way that I'm going to be displeases people? What if I have to defend myself and I don't know how? Meaning your point of view. Then what? And another really big one that really gets in my way is, what if the image and the way that I'm communicating doesn't match how people see me? Very much of my personality is very buoyant and happy and really very lighthearted. Yet there's this other part of me that's kind of intense and really likes to dive deep and really likes to experience really intense emotions and is fairly direct. And a lot of people don't know that part about me. What if this part alienates people? Yet at the same time, this part may be what connects me with other people. So being okay with different ways of being with different people can sort of ease the path, and being okay with matching with some people and maybe being a mismatch for other people, and that it's okay to have all those different types of myself in play. Okay, let's talk about a sense of belonging. So imagine that you are part of the circle group, and everybody in your group talks about circles. They're like, circles, circles, circles. I love circles. Let's talk about circles. But in your heart, even though you were part of the circle group for a while, you're actually kind of a square person. And you think about squares all the time. And you want to be part of the square group, but you're afraid, what if you become the square group and you live over here and be true to yourself? What happens to your relationship with the circle people? And who are you to them? And who are you to yourself? What new identity are you going to be needing to embrace? So there's a lot that can go on. And are you willing to say, hey, circle people, I love you, but that's not where I am anymore. I'm being square over here. And it's okay to release what is no longer working for you and become who you are truly meant to be. Tell a story about the fear of abandonment or being left. When I was in a relationship in my early 30s, I was so fearful of it not working out, I didn't know that on a conscious level, that I was only willing to bring 95% of myself to the relationship. And what came into our awareness and my awareness was that extra 5% that I was hiding was the best, juiciest 5% of who I am. And the thought of being 95% rejected was totally fine, but having 100% rejection and being left and abandoned was horrifying. That felt like death. But what I realized through that fear moment and the truth that came from it was that I needed to bring 100% of myself into future relationships in order for them to work. And even though that relationship didn't work, I realized I was going to live through it, and I was a better person for it. And that fear brought a truth that was so valuable that I have a wonderful relationship now because of it. So I'm so grateful for that past fear and how it plays out now. Another layer that comes into play is wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel secure, wanting to feel control. Because sometimes the future we don't know what's in the future, but we want to have control over it. And so oftentimes for me, and maybe the same is true of you, I stay in this comfort zone because I know what's going to happen in the comfort zone. I don't know what's going to happen out here, and wanting to remain safe and secure. Sometimes when I'm feeling fear, I turn it into excitement of the unknown and what could happen, that it just allows me to feel a little bit better. Also, sometimes when it's a real big fear, I like to take a mental checklist or an actual physical written one of all the possible outcomes. The terrible ones, the horrifying ones, the amazing ones, like, oh my gosh, my life is going to change for the better, those kinds of outcomes. And think through each of them. And sometimes just having it all out on the table or all out on a list just makes it feel a little bit more manageable. Another thing that I like to do is to truly recall a past time when I was feeling fearful and I did it anyways, and what I experienced on the other side of the fear. And I relive that experience, and it makes it so much easier. Honestly, I remember how fearful I was of the first time I did a Facebook Live. It was the dumbest fear in the world, but I was horrified and so scared and so freaked out, but it was amazing, and I loved it. There were times that I was super fearful of telling someone that I was hurt, and I did it anyways, and it turned out amazing, and I felt so much better because I was able to express myself. So remembering those moments helps future moments of fear play out a little easier. Sometimes it's nice to have a mentor or someone that you think of, like, if I were Soul Smiley, how would I embrace this and take on the characteristics of someone else who approaches fear with grace and ease, and maybe even have a conversation with them, either in a meditative state, that kind of conversation, or an actual interview with them. Like, how do you manage fear? How do you walk through this? And you might get some insight into a different way of looking at the fear and a different way of navigating it. Also, and I think that Soul Smiley would agree with this, act as if you already have what it is that you are seeking. Live in that space of, I've already got this success. In fact, I've already walked through the fear and I'm on the other side. And that can dissipate some of the fear and actually have it just drizzle away because you're already in the space of feeling it. And that's a little different than taking a past experience and reliving it now. You're just saying, I'm going to live in that future space of what you've already experienced, even though it hasn't happened yet. If you imagine it in your mind, you will be able to create it in the reality of your life. And my final tip, and I've used this with change, doing things differently every day, experience and overcome baby mini fears every single day. Saying hello to somebody, speaking up in a Zoom call, waving at the person who cut you off in traffic. Whatever it is, practice overcoming little mini fears. So when the bigger fears come, they're just not as big of a deal. And that's just such a great way to practice. And then your nervous system gets used to, like, oh, fear, I can handle this. I got it. Okay, so here's my reframe. F, feel it, face it, look that fear square in the face and say, it's nice to meet you. I'm being aware of you. E, expand your mind to the possibilities and the opportunities that are on the other side of the fear. Embrace it. Say, hey, I'm embracing you. In fact, I'm going to dance with you because I know you're showing up for a very good reason. And face the fact that you are capable of walking through the fear. A, action, 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 action. Take action. I'm a feeler and a thinker. I will feel and think the heck out of everything. But if I don't take action, nothing's going to happen. So that A1 is a real big one for me. Maybe it is for you too. They don't need to be big actions, little actions. Changing a thought is an action. Changing the way you say things is an action. So, last one, release. Release, release, release. Here's a thought that's in your past. Boop. Shh, it's in the past. Release the thoughts that are holding you back. Release the idea that fear is going to stop you. Release, 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 release. So that's my reframe on fear. That's my commentary on fear of things and ideas and thoughts that stop us from doing what we want to do, being who we truly are, and saying what we need to say from our hearts. So thanks for tuning in. Soul Smiley and I are happy that you were here, and we look forward to sharing ideas with you in the future. Bye, everyone.